going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing the top trade targets for this week. We're going to be talking about primos, and we're going to also be talking about rookies at the end. So for the premiums, we're going to start off with the defense, and the number one trade target this week, in my opinion, is Callum Mills. Now he's got the perfect midfield role, getting plenty of CBAs, averaging the 113 with a 3-round average of 122 and a 5-round of 121. I think he's the best option at this point. Probably a lock to be D1, averaging 6 more points than the next, which is Rory Laird, who's coming into some nice form as well. So I think he's our absolute best option. Value probably isn't great, 577. Maybe that's close to top dollar for him. But I think if you really want a lock to be number one defence, or at least top 3, Callum Mills is the man. So the next target we're going to look at is Daniel Rich. So Rich is taking a lot of the kick-ins this year. I spoke about him a little bit in my last video, and it looks like he's got the perfect role to average around the 105 mark. I don't think he'll average the 107. If he can hold it, that would be great. But 550k is a really nice price for Daniel Rich. So if you're looking for a little bit of value, definitely grab Rich. And it moves us on to our next target, which is Christian Salem. So Christian Salem's got a really big ceiling, 5-round average of 120. Taking plenty of kick-ins. I don't know if May backing now affects him with that. I still think they prefer Salem to take the kick-ins. But yeah, he's a really nice pod. Only in the 3% of teams. Same with Rich, only in the 4. So with Salem, I'm just not sure about his scoring consistency. So he's never been a true premium in SuperCoach, or not that I can remember, which worries me a little bit. So with Christian Salem, you do have to tread with caution a little bit, just on the fact that there's not much scoring history behind him. He's had some really hot patches in the past, but also had gone really cold. So if you're looking for a risky pod, I think Salem's the man. So let's move on to the midfield. We're going to talk about Clayton Oliver first. So Oliver's one of those players where you probably already have him, but for those that don't, definitely get him in as soon as possible. He's hit some unbelievable form. Obviously, the 204 last week was just ridiculous. It cost me my matchup not having him as captain, even though I had him on the field. I didn't have him as captain, and that literally cost me. So he's scoring too well to be to not have him at this point. Number one midfielder in the game at the moment, top for total points. So definitely Clayton Oliver's the man if you don't have him and you have unlimited, or not unlimited cash, but you have enough cash. Definitely grab Clary as soon as possible. The next one we're going to talk about is Bont. So Bont's in ridiculous form as well. If you guys have a look at his last few games, I don't know why it's glitching. So he's gone the 159, 128, 155, 107, 127, 133, 116. And he had an 82 and a 92. And there he's absolute lowest. He's not going to go much lower than that. And then the 145 in between them. So Bont is someone I'm really looking to bring in. He's obviously a very tough price, 657k. I think he's the most expensive mid in the game at the moment, which is frustrating. But I think he's the best player in the comp quite comfortably at this point. So Marcus Bonson Parley, definitely bring him in as soon as possible. 5-round average of 135 and a 3-round of 147, just ridiculous. So the next one we're going to talk about is Jack Steele. So he's a little bit of a value pick at this point. So he's got that last buy round as well. And the way I'm thinking of structuring my buys is to tank that last buy round because we have Gawn and Grundy. That's the one that we're going to struggle with the most. So I'm kind of throwing away that buy round. If you haven't watched my previous buy round strategy video, please watch that. It talks more about my strategy behind the buy rounds, a bit more in depth than what I'm just saying now. But yeah, so Jack Steele, I think he's a really good pick. I think he'll still be your top 6 to 8 midfielder. He's just had some down games, like St Kilda couldn't get their hands on it against the Dogs. He's going to come good. He can still average 110, averaging 112. And for 563k, he's really, really good value. Probably almost as low as he's going to get. I'll check his break-even real quick. So his break-even to 120. I think he'll get to 560 odd, and that'll be his absolute bottom dollar. But Jack Steele, yeah, he's a great pick for that price. Definitely look to bring him in. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Christian Petrarca. Really discounted for what he's capable of. So he's only had, he's averaging 104 and he's been okay, but I think he's starting to come into some nice form now. Only in the 14% sides. Plays the Dogs this week. He's a big game player, Christian Petrarca. So I would definitely look at bringing him in. he's really discounted, like genuine fallen primo, could be 650k by the end of the year. So if you want a player who has genuine 120 plus average potential for the rest of the season, grab Christian Petrarca. The next one I'm going to talk about is Tom Lubatore. So he's been really under the radar. So he's averaging the 104, and you're probably thinking, why are you talking about Libba? He's 545. He's kind of an awkward price. But the thing is, now that Treloar is out, I think Libba gets even more CBAs than what he already had. He was getting plenty of CBAs, but I think he's locked to attend their most CBAs now. Him and McRae will be right up there. So more mid-time for Libba should really help his scoring. I think he already, like I said, he had plenty of mid-time already, but he's going to get even more. There's going to be no wing time or forward time. It's going to be all in the guts for Libba, and we know how much of a contested pig he is. The 145 on the weekend was huge. I think he's a great option at that price. And the last midfielder, we've spoken about a lot of midfielders today, but the last mid we're going to talk about is Tom Mitchell. So 553, another really good value pick. If you don't have him, I think he's a good option. I know he had a really down week last week when he got tagged. I don't think he gets tagged most weeks, to be honest, because he's let's be honest, he's not really that effective with the ball. He's effective, but it's not so much he's that damaging. So I think Mitchell, he's a lock to be a top 10 mid. He'll average 110, I reckon, by the end of the year. Probably 115 to 120 from here on out, which for 553k, it's an absolute bargain. So definitely look at Tom Mitchell. Also has the first buy, which is a nice buy to have. And Merritt's sort of the same position. I didn't plan on speaking about Merritt, because I've already got him, but I think he's a really nice price. We'll check his run home because he does get a lot of opposition, a lot of attention from opposition. So he might cop the Hutching tag this week. Richmond won't tag. Hawthorn, I don't think will tag. They might send Cousins to him like they sent Cousins to Walsh. But yeah, Merritt's a gun at the end of the day, so definitely look at bringing him in as well. So moving on to the last but not least, forwards. Actually, you know what? They probably are least because forwards are really hard to come by this week. So we're going to look at Dane Zorko as our first option. So 536k, he's got a 3-round average of 120, and I literally traded him in 3 rounds ago. I was really lucky with the timing with him. Got him for about 480, I believe, and he's just been unreal. Ever since Lachie Neale went down, he's just been super. So definitely look at bringing Zorko in ASAP. I think he's a lock because he's a forward. So yeah, I think he's probably F2 or 3 locked. So yeah, Zorko's the number 1 option for this week on the forward line. The next one we're going to talk about is Dusty Martin. So the 86 wasn't great, and I said I was going to wait a week on him and see what his form was really like. He does have an easy couple of weeks. So he's got Adelaide, Essendon, and then he's got West Coast. But these 2 games, Adelaide and Essendon, I think he could genuinely go 120 plus quite comfortably. I think he's a great option at that price. 433, probably not going to be much cheaper. 51 break even. He's going to score more than that, let's be honest, especially against Adelaide. The only thing that's a bit dusty is we know he can go into cruise control when Richmond start to win, which is a worry. So I'm personally going to wait a couple more weeks on Dusty. I'm not in a rush to get him in. I need to see some genuine consistency and some hunger to score. And the last one we're going to talk about is Aaron Hall. We're going to have to search him because his scoring is a little bit broken because of his injury games. So you might look at Aaron Hall, and I spoke about this before, and he's got the 6 and the 37. These 2 games were injury games. You take that out, he's had an awesome year. So 81, 133, 106, 113, 112, 104. He's got the perfect role for SuperCoach, playing off that half back. Him and Zeeble, they love kicking into each other. I think it's a perfect duo to have in your forward line on SuperCoach. So Hall's 480. So he's obviously gone up a bit. I think I picked him up for about 400 odd. And I was very lucky with him. It was a genuine 50-50 risk versus reward. And I was luckily enough to be rewarded. However, he does have injury history. So when you're picking Aaron Hall, you have to tread with caution with that. The one thing about Aaron Hall, though, he's not playing that role he played at Gold Coast, where he was playing midfield. He's playing half back, which is a pretty friendly role for your body, I think. Not too much contested ball. So that's a good thing about Hall, and I'm pretty confident in his ability to stay on the park, to be honest. I know he's had those 2 games where he got injured. I think he was just a bit unlucky with both of them. But his form has been unreal since returning from injury. So that's it for the trade targets, guys. Let me know if there's anyone that you would consider over these guys. These are just my personal preferences for this week. I think they're all the safest options and the best value at this point. One thing we've forgotten is the rookies. So the two rookies we're going to look at is Madden and Weightman. So Madden has had a really bad round one, first game, missed a few games, and then came back and dropped to 78. So job security for him is the biggest worry. I think the scoring potential is there with the 78. It looked like he played quite well as well. He's got a semi-hard draw, did OS from Melbourne, and then he got North. But yeah, I'm not sure about Madden's job security. If any Lions fans have any idea about this, please let me know, because at this point I'm probably not going to look at Madden. But for 123k, as long as he plays this week, he's going to make a bit of money. Projected price for change of 50k. So yeah, it's a tough one with Madden. It's a tough side to crack into, Brisbane, and I'm not sure if he can do it, but definitely keep an eye on the teams this week in regards to Madden. So Cody Weightman's a very interesting one, because he wouldn't have been relevant if he hadn't have had a decent first two games. So he's had the 75 and the 98 with a break even of -70 and a projected price change of 54k. So he'll be around the 230 mark next week, provided he scores 54, which he would probably score that quite comfortably. The thing I like about him is that he's playing in a really good team. They get the ball down to the forward line quite a bit. I think he kicked a few goals, but I don't think he kicked like a bag or anything last week, and he had a nice score. So yeah, the ball's going to be down there plenty for Cody Weightman. Serious fighting for spots at the Dogs, which is good for Weightman. I think he'll be hungry to keep his spot, and he won't be letting off any bad games, I don't think. Otherwise, he knows he'll be dropped. So yeah, I think Weightman's probably the best rookie option this week. I'm bringing him in for power. So if you haven't watched my previous video, watch that. You'll see my trades and my thought process behind the trades. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about all these players. If there's anyone I missed, there's probably plenty I missed, but as I said, these are just my personal preferences. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.